In today's video, we are going to take a look at the worst leaders of every country in the world and delete them. Not just the rulers, but the women and the children too, along with every province that they own. Every nation that gets voided will become a bunch of uncolonized provinces ripe for the picking for anyone nearby. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel because there is a ton of fun videos like this to come. Additionally, if you would like early access to these videos, you can do that by clicking the join button below the video. Become one of the homies, help me pay my mortgage. Question of the day, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream? I am a huge sucker for mint chocolate chip, but I'm curious what you guys think. Let us know in the comments below.
Chocolate chip. Eat some chocolate chip.
Now, after loading in here, this one right here in the ledger, country going down to current rulers, is going to be the most important thing we're going to be looking at for this run, because if we sort by overall, you can see here Henry Lancaster is the first ruler that is not an interregnum that we can see here, and obviously he is going to have to go. Now, as far as I can tell, there is not a consul command that will allow me to void them. It used to be that you could annex them as the observer and it would void the provinces, but now you have to use what's called a run script. I'm not going to go into all the details because it would take a long time to explain it, but just check out the wiki, look up scripts or run command or something like that on the wiki, and it will give you the information you're looking for. All I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the nation we are going to be removing. This time it's going to be England, and for the sake of this situation, I have created one, and I'm going to go ahead and just run it in the console. And what it is going to do is it is going to void every province that England has a province that they own in. So every province has been voided and it is now colonizable. Now, in order to make this a little more interesting, I set it so the base is one colonist for every nation. So every nation in the world has one colonist, no bonuses to it or anything, just one colonist. So poor nations will still not be able to colonize, rich nations will be able to colonize, and obviously it's going to impact the New World. The New World, which of course I voided because the migratory natives just take up a ton of resources and make the game run really slow, and they don't really contribute to the overall experience. So some people complain about that. I don't care. I'm still going to delete them. But either way, this is how we're going to do this. And now in about 10 years or so, we're going to delete the next nation. And I think one of the more interesting parts about this is you can't really predict who's going to win because you don't really know who's going to have bad leaders. Like if we open up our ledger, you can see here that under current leaders, if we sort by this, you can see here that Ibrahim Karamanoglu or whatever is a terrible, terrible ruler, but he may die in the next few years until that happens. So it's not guaranteed that he'll be the next one taken out. The only way to actually find out who is next is going on up to speed 5 and on pause. And of course, early on, all of the parasites around them will start colonizing, and who better to colonize England than the colonizers? You have Portugal over here, and then Castile over here, and then Denmark over here. The Danelaw coming back in 1445. You love to see it, folks. It's a little bit earlier this time, but it turns out that 1449, worst year in history, is the year that Dulkadir apparently sieges down Constantinople, and it will go to the Ottomans. It happens basically every time. What are you gonna do? And good King Rene went ahead and got himself excommunicated and has then promptly been attacked by a couple of people. You have Burgundy attacking them for an excommunication war, as well as France with his friend the Pope Man. So yeah, Provence is definitely going to be going kaput very soon. And meanwhile, the colonization is actually going incredibly slow. You have this Caen here that is getting colonized by the French, and aside from that, that's about it. Other than those guys I showed you up to the north, nobody else is colonizing because I think nobody really has enough money to justify it. Or at least according to the AI, they don't. So yeah, we're not really seeing a whole lot early on, but here in a couple of years, I'll probably do it on the 5th year of each decade. We will void the next ruler and see how things go here. So the more provinces we have opened up, the more kind of opportunity for other nations to expand we will have. So honestly, it could be anybody's game. Now for the next round, it appears that a regency for Ladislaus is actually the worst ruler in the world. We're gonna go ahead and skip that one. We're gonna go with nations that have a specific ruler that is in charge of their country. So it looks like Karaman will be the next to go, who has recently picked up an extra province over here in this Adana, and they are now going to be gone. It is voided and nobody lives there anymore except for maybe a couple of natives, but it doesn't look like even natives live here. Completely desolate nations. Also, this icon looks a little funny. Natives in this province have Turkish Levantine culture, and it's showing like an Inuit. So yeah, I guess the game isn't really set up to show Turkish culture icons, maybe. I don't know. I'm assuming it's not even in the code, so yeah, that makes sense. So Karaman is now voided, open and free for anybody who wants to take it. Probably going to be the Mamluks or the Ottomans, though the Ottomans don't really seem to need the help because they are about to annex Albania and they are at war with Venice, who is defending Albania. So yeah, Ottomans having a very good start. And that's not really a surprise when you consider the absolute massive mission tree that they received, definitely giving them a buff in 1:35 in domination. Definitely a buff. And meanwhile, up in the north, we've got some shenanigans going on. I believe it is Sweden's independence war going on with Muscovy actually backing up the Swedes. So yeah, Denmark came in and took a ton of Novgorod early on, and it looks like Muscovy did not take kindly to that and decided to get in on this action. And Denmark has seen better days, getting absolutely demolished and about to lose their capital here to the Lübeck, the Hausa. So yeah, Denmark is probably going to get dismantled. And of course, one of the side effects of adding a base colonist is people are going to use them even if they, don't necessarily have a need for them. So Ming is colonizing Taipei, and take with that what you will, but keep in mind that Korea is actually here in the southern portion of Taiwan. So yeah, we've got a little bit of extra European colonization going on early on, which is cool. I'm curious to see how this will actually play out in the long game. Sorry, I keep yawning, so it looks like I'm crying. I'm not crying, though. This is pretty beautiful to see. We have Marrakesh, who has declared an independence war with their allies of Sus, as well as Tafalalt, and the Moroccan ally of Tunis, as well as Morocco, of course, getting absolutely dominated in the war. So things are going to be having a little bit of a shakeup here in North Africa. We'll see if they can fend off the Europeans, but either way, pretty cool. And as the next round comes, you can see up here in the original voided guy, we have Brabant in Scarborough. Portugal is over here on the western side of Britain, and they're having some issues with rebels. Denmark, though they just got their teeth kicked in a war, at least they have somewhere they can flee off to over here in the Danelaw. And Castile is now down in Kent, so now all the posh hoity-toity people of Kent will be speaking a Spanish this time around, which that's an interesting concept. Regardless, this time around we have Fezzan, who is the weakest leader in the world, though it is a very close one with Bosnia as well as Armenia, or however that is pronounced, as well as we got Bavaria over here, who is united, who has a pretty terrible leader, so they may end up getting deleted sooner or later. We'll see. They're the youngest of them. Regardless, Fezzan, your leader is now kaput. Say goodbye. You are now all desert again, though I think Fezzan was basically all desert before as well, so nothing really changed, to be honest with you. So two things, actually. Look into this one. You got Jean de Armagnac, or however that is pronounced, is the worst leader in the world, and he will go this time around. Now, it's interesting because Castile did have the worst leader in the world, and I was getting ready to delete him, and then he died. And now Castile is under a PU of Aragon because they got a natural PU on them. And it isn't France that intervened, it's Muscovy that intervened. So they're probably going to keep the PU. However, France is involved in another war because they have attacked them for conquest over here in Catalonia. So things are going to be a little bit messy here on the Iberian Peninsula, even if we're not deleting any nations there. However, these little Armagnac guys will be gone, and they are 3 provinces that have been voided for the French, apparently. And it turns out that this time we're moving down to Africa with Kenan Bornu having a 101, the worst leader in the world. And as it turns out, there actually is a console command to remove them, and I am a dingus, and I didn't know about it. So shout out Lim, you are a wonderful boy, and I appreciate you, one of the guys in my Discord who told me about this code. And speaking of the Discord, you should join my Discord. It's going to be linked in the description below the video, and we have a lot of fun over there, especially if you're one of the homies and you click the join button below the video and become a channel member. You get special colors in the Discord so everybody knows that you are an absolute stud giga chad, and you also get access to exclusive chats in the Discord. That's where I like to hang out the most because plebs are annoying. But seriously, help me pay my bills, become a channel member, click the join button below the video. And with that shameless plug out of the way, let's go ahead and get rid of Kenan Bornu. Meanwhile, the slots to the north are getting filled in from Fezzan by the Mamluks, as well as over here by the Turks specifically. But we have one Genoa province over here, and then the Mamluks took one province here. But yeah, now they're losing a bunch of land to rebels. And it's been a couple of decades since we checked in on Great Britain. So let's see here. We've got Hamburg, Oldenburg, Portugal still here, Holland getting in on it, as well as Sweden colonizing the Isle of Man. Very nice. We have Flanders over here in is that Lancaster, Brabant, and Denmark continuing their thing, as is Castile finishing up their colonization of the entire London area. But being left mainly alone up here, Scotland is doing pretty good, getting all the way into half of the Emerald Isle, and they've got claims on the rest, so it's only a matter of time before they start taking it over. And this time around, it is time for Korea to go. They have young Gu Yi here, who is a terrible 200, and making him the worst leader in the world, according to the ledger, though it looks like he's tied with this guy with 2 points, but it doesn't matter. It's who's at the top of the list. So Korea, my beloved, I'm sorry to say it, but you must go, and they are gone. If we can't decide on if you're communist or democratic, you can't have any of it. And while we're here, I might as well show you guys around a little bit. We have some Portuguese over here in the Caribbean, as well as up here in Bermuda. Aside from that, the New World is pretty sparse still. Nothing too interesting going on. Though we do have exploration expansion for Portugal, as well well as over here in Castile has exploration. The French decided to go with admin quality. And since we don't have English, the next best thing is the Scots. I know that might hurt some of you, but they went with infrastructure ideas first, which is one of the new ideas in 1.35. Definitely not going to help them colonize, but might help them play a little bit tall. Infrastructure is basically kind of like the old economic ideas. It's kind of like the development / internal growth focused idea group. Now I'm trying to let some time go by, but what in the world is going on over here in northern Germany? We still have an HRE. It exists, but I don't really know in what capacity. You can see Holland as well over into Oldenburg, getting pushed out of Holland by France. And then Bremen has pushed all the way down into Thuringia's left nut over here and all the way into Hesse. So that is pretty crazy. We also have Bavaria pushing all the way up to Coburg, and the Palatinate has annexed Mainz, pushing them into Frankfurt, who is then gone. So things are looking very weird. We have a total of 0 free cities because the free cities just keep on taking land or getting annexed. So yeah, not doing the HRE any favors. Having 0 free cities is kind of crazy. I feel like the AI is like incapable of having 0, but they have 0. And next on the chopping block is young Vandana. He's not young, he's 53, but of the Congo. They will be the next ones to go, leaving a huge void over here in Central Africa. So we'll see exactly who fills that one. And this time around, we're looking over to the steppes. Uzbek is the next one to go, but they are one province over here in Siberia. So we're actually going to skip this one because I feel like that's not interesting at all. So this one would take us down here into Central Africa to Jenny, the absolute worst character of any movie I have ever seen in my life. She gave the poor guy AIDS. My gosh, could you imagine? Regardless, good riddance, Jenny. You suck. Also, I saw it, so I had to point it out. A new cool feature from 1.35 here. You can see that these guys are an islet, or however it's pronounced. People are going to correct me. But Hungary is a subject, a special type of subject under the Ottomans that makes them the same color as the Ottomans. So that's pretty cool. And since we haven't really taken a big look at it lately, Oirat is dominating northern China. Japan is now united, and Korea is starting to get filled in by a bunch of random people from the Indonesian / Spice Islands. We have Brunei here setting up in what I assume is Seoul. Is this Seoul here? I think this is Seoul. Things are definitely looking a little interesting over here, though with Korea being gone, that's the only major difference, as well as a little bit of colonization. Korea actually was colonizing up here as well. But this time we have Cambodian north of Sulawesi. The Khmer, who have somehow eaten Ayutthaya, have started colonizing over here, and we have Sambas over here colonizing some over here. The poor boner boys have been pushed out of their homeland, but they do still exist over here in this Sopnig or whatever that province is. Also, we have Castile, who has broken free from Aragon in Brazil. We have Hamburg over here in whatever this area is. I think this is like Guyana. And Scotland is inevitable over here in Newfoundland. So that is a thing. Aside from that, not a whole lot of colonization going on. Most of it is actually going on over here in Britain. So yeah, Britain is still working on getting colonized. Also, we have an Iceland, so always like to see an Iceland. And this is peak Sweden. Lions of the North, Sweden coming at you, going to absolutely dominate, form Scandinavia, and become a behemoth. No doubt. Again, we're going to skip over Uzbek because they are a one province minor in Siberia, but we will now be deleting the Pope Man. The Holy See, the home of Christianity, is going to be kaput, and whoever takes over Roma, assuming that they are Catholic, which everybody is Catholic, except for apparently Moravia over here, they are a Hussite, which that's pretty cool. Either way, whoever takes Rome will actually have malices and may end up releasing the Pope, so it may not even have any effect. Hard to say. Roma. The farmlands, 22 develop uncolonized with 0 native population province in EU4. We all know about that, right? Now, at this point, I would kind of consider this a mercy kill. Ming is the worst ruler in the world here. This Shangbing Zhu, or however that's pronounced, with 401, which seems kind of high, to be honest with you, but he is the lowest one, tied with a couple of other tags. So here you go, Ming. You are now dead. Officially dead. Not like on the decline, but like gone dead. F's in chat for Ming, boys. And in an interesting twist of events, the Reformation has just now spawned in 1536 over here. It was force spawned, and apparently somehow, some way, the Ottomans are the first ones to get to Rome, with Siena going to Florence. So Ottomans are also going buck wild. They were just at war with Poland because they attacked the Great Horde, who was guaranteed by Poland, and they got absolutely rolled. Poland did, that is. and then the Mamluks attacked them while they were at war up here. The Mamluks attacked the Ottomans and then got their teeth kicked in. So yeah, the game is going pretty well for the Ottomans, but not well enough to put them in the first spot. It is actually France who is in the first spot, followed by Poland with a 700 development in the third spot. Mamluks are a little less than 1,000, but they have not embraced institution yet. Then Castile, Portugal, Austria in the 7th, and then Muscovy down there in the 8th spot. Now, I'm not really sure how long I will take this. I don't really know how many rulers we want to get rid of. I want to go at least 100 years and then let it run out and see who finishes on top. But I'm curious if you guys have other scenarios where you think that something like this would be fun, something easily trackable in the ledger, or something with an event or something like that. Because you guys have got to remember, when I'm making these videos, I'm the one going through and like typing this all out and doing it all by myself. So if you are a skilled modder and you want to make something fun that you think people would see, like, do you guys remember Long Brittany? I remember Long Brittany. Those sorts of map mods, those are great. Meme stuff like that, I want to make content on the memes. So if you got memes, send them my way. Next up on the chopping block, the very young 19-year-old Malik, what's his name, Sharky over here of Jaunpur, the Indian Sultanate. It's a good thing he's young. It means they weren't stuck with him for too long. Sadly, they are stuck with him until their nation expires, which is, it's right now. Rest in pepperonis, Jaunpur. Let's hope that somebody other than Bengal fills the void. And now that Diplotechs are starting to roll out, we're seeing a bunch of new people colonizing over the New World. We have Holland, we have Lubeck over here. We also have Flanders, and this is just going to be messy. This is going to be very messy. Also, Nova Scotia looking pretty good. Regular Scotland not looking so good at all, because we have Swedish Britain, the best form of Britain in my opinion, has taken hold and probably going to end up dominating the British Isles if I had to guess. Also, Hamburgian Britain sounds pretty good as well. Now this is going to be the last one we do, and it turns out that the Mosquito Kingdom is the worst leader in the world right here. Again, 1 province minor, 6 development, so we're going to go to the next one. That being Dietrich over here of Switzerland, who is the worst leader in the world after the leader of the Mosquito Kingdom. So goodbye, Switzerland. It also is white, so it looks like it fits in with Austria, but it is indeed now uncolonized land. Now, things are already looking quite different over here. You can see the Mams have somehow been like a bulwark against the Ottomans. They have not moved a single province south into the Mamluks' land, despite being at war with them a few times. We have Russia, who has formed, but somehow the Great Horde is still holding on because they are guaranteed by Poland, who has lost a ton of land to Russia as well. So things are looking very weird, almost as weird as this Britain. And hopefully things clean up a little bit as the game finishes up here. Somehow this province is still uncolonized because people are too busy going to war with each other. Sweden about to annex Scotland, you know, normal sorts of things. And in 1821, it turns out that I actually extremely overestimated Scandinavia in exchange for the big pink blob to the south, because in the end it is France, Commonwealth, and Russia, the most massive Russia that I've seen since the last time I saw a Russia going all the way down to the Persian Gulf. Those are the final lads, with France well out in front, almost 2,000 development in front of the Commonwealth, who is actually in front of Portugal, who owns basically the entire New World, and I'm going to show you that. 4th slot, I'm very happy to see a massive VJ. Got to get a little bit of that Hindu representation. Am I right, boys? Russia with still 4,000 development. So we have top 5 all with 4,000 development. So that's really good. And then it just drops way off till we get Venice at 2,500, Castile in the 7th spot, and then Kilwa, actually, an African great power. You love to see it, folks. And as far as hegemons go, we actually did have a Venice economic hegemon, but they lost it. We had a France naval hegemon. They lost it. And then we had a Portugal military hegemon, and they lost it. So yeah, nothing in 1821, but just like 5-6 years ago when I last looked from my last little check-in before I recorded this outro, he had 3 of them. So I don't know. It just must have been a big world war at the very end, apparently. And I think my favorite thing out of this entire run is Castile with their capital in Essex in Britain, because the rest of Iberia was taken over by the French and a couple provinces to the Portuguese. And we've even got 1 province minor, Galicia, up here because, you know, why not? So yeah, Portugal didn't really do a whole lot over here, but they did do quite a bit over in the New World, with South America almost exclusively outside of Brazil going to them, and North America almost exclusively outside of Canada and the Pacific area going to them as well, including the Caribbean. You all know about Flemish Canada, the French subject state, right? And I'm super disappointed because for like 200 years, Lanfang had a subject right here. It was a Lanfang Cascadia, and it got taken over by the Portuguese because, of course, all your colonies belong to us when you are Portugal. And for the most part, Asia was just conquered by Russia, but VJ absolutely dominated with probably the most impressive AI controlled Indian nation I think I've ever seen, outside of maybe some of those earlier videos when we were seeing Bengal do really, really good. We of course have Portuguese down under, but there is Vijayanagari top end. That's a good one. I like that. With the religious map mode, it's all Catholic in the New World, and it's all Catholic in Europe as well. I think one of the things that they changed in 1.35 is nations are more likely to conquer small nations next to them, because the HRE was like gone early on. The HRE was destroyed super early on, and I don't really know. I didn't change anything with that other than deleting a couple of tags, but I don't even think I deleted an HRE nation. So it might just be something with the patch. And speaking of the HRE, it literally is gone. There is no HRE and there is no Empire of China. I think when we deleted Ming, it deleted the Empire of China. Regardless, the Hindus have pushed a bunch, but they have hardly converted anything, though the Orthodox definitely converted quite a bit, though it does appear we had some Japan over here in northern China. We still do, but it looks like they actually had quite a bit more and converted quite a bit of it. But now it is all part of the Rus. Taking a look at the culture map, obviously the nations that were deleted and recolonized are going to be the ones with interesting stuff like Flemish Northumberland, Lower Saxons over in Cornwall, Portuguese and Castilians splitting the Midlands. Is that what this is called? The Midlands? I actually don't know. And actually, Dutch is just gone. There is no Dutch. It's Flemish and Rhenish. Rhenish actually had a very solid game. And of course, the Austrians had to push down south. They always do. And the French pushed into Italy as well as plenty far into Iberia. But not to fear, Iberian has found a new home in the New World, with most of the New World as far as the USA and Mexico going to the Portuguese, Canada going to Mexico as well as California. South America is almost exclusively Brazilian outside of Brazil, with Castilian and Platinian in Brazil. After getting rid of the Ming, China absolutely just became a mess. We have Sudanese, Vietnamese, Saikagu or whatever that is over here. So yeah, this is where Ming was. Clearly things looking different over here. And of course, we can't forget about the Turkish Delta over here. You know, Turkish Amazonia. Makes sense. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you let me know by leaving a like on the video. And like I said before, comment below if you have a suggestion of something you would like to see and you think others would also like to see. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do. And if you want early access to the videos, you can become one of the homies by clicking the join button below it. Like I said before, we also have access to special roles and chats in the Discord, and I like to hang out with you guys if you support me. If you feel like doing that, join button below the video or become a patron. And of course, until next time, stay chill. And a huge shout out to the patrons and channel members who keep this channel going. If you want early access to these videos and exclusive Discord benefits, make sure you check out the link in the description or the join button below the video.